everyone! Welcome to another video. I kind of rearranged my filming setup, so if things seem a little wonky or anything, then that's because I'm still kind of trying to figure out where I want things to be put, and I'm having to like reconfigure my camera and everything, so hopefully that'll all get straightened out soon. But for today's video, I mentioned in my last video how mauve and cool tones and other purple lilac tones have been really trendy in Korea recently. There's been a lot of really nice cool tone Korean palettes that have come out, and I wanted to do a look inspired by those palettes but not using those products because as of right now it's really difficult to get your hands on them. I bought them like a week ago and they still haven't even shipped yet. Everything is really slow, so there's definitely not really a way for you to get your hands on these products before the trend has begun to kind of pass because things can move really quickly over there. So I just wanted to give you guys an opportunity to see how you can make this look yourself but without needing to actually have those products. I'm gonna first start off with the BECCA First Light Priming Filter. This is the other primer that I bought in my BECCA purchase. It has a slight lavender tone, so it's gonna kind of cancel out any yellow tones in my face. So for a look like this, I definitely want to kind of even out my skin tone and get rid of any of the sallowness that I sometimes can have. So that way, when I put on the purple tones, it doesn't look like I have a bruise. It's a lot waterier than the other primer, so it feels a lot more hydrating. Next, for foundation, I want to go with something that kind of just has a natural finish. I don't want anything overly dewy, but I also don't want to go overly matte because my skin is dry. I've definitely noticed for this trend, matte skin is a lot more trendy to go with this look because the dewiness distracts from the cool toned mattes that are popular to use. So I will be using the Luna Crystal foundation. I just got this during an Olive Young sale and I just kind of wanted to try it out. I've only used it once so far, so I've just been wanting to use it a couple more times to see what I think of it. The first time I used it with the brush that it came with, and I feel like the brush kind of ate up all the product, so I wasn't able to get a very good finish out of it that I wanted. So this time I'm just going to use my sponge like I always do. And instead of soaking my sponge in water, I'm going to use a sponge that has been lightly sprayed with fixing spray. So that way the sponge isn't putting too much more further hydration into my face and can help keep things looking more natural. I'm using the Innisfree sponge. I don't remember what it's called. I think it's like a peach sponge or something. It comes in two versions. There's a softer one and there's a firmer one. And this is the softer one. I don't really know why anyone would want a super firm sponge. This nice soft one does it for me. So it still maintains a pretty sheer coverage. So I don't know if it's necessarily worth for me to continue to keep it around for too long since I have so many sheer foundations. But the marketing kind of made it seem like it was more medium, but we'll see. I do like the finish. It just kind of is just my skin but better. It didn't add any more radiance than I already had, and it definitely is not a mattifying foundation, so pretty nice. I'm gonna use my concealer. I have cat hair all over my desk. I do need to make sure I set my face a little bit, so I'm going to be using the Charlotte Tilbury powder. I am going to go ahead and just set my entire face. I hadn't used that powder in a while, so I forgot how good it was. I need to use it more often. For brows, I'm going to be using the Urban Decay Brow Blade in Cool Cookie, and I'm also using Blackout for the pen side. I'm trying to keep my brow kind of more hazy or foggy feeling and not super structured, not too terribly thick. Okay, so my eyebrows are on, and I tried my best to keep them pretty soft, but you know me, I always end up going overboard. I'm gonna prime my eyes as usual, just using this. Okay, so I was kind of picking between a couple of different eyeshadow palettes, and I was just wondering which ones to pick. And I don't know if this is still on the website anymore, but it was available for a while, and it is a bit of an older product, so I thought I would use this and show you guys the colors I'm talking about. And I am talking about the ColourPop Flutterby palette, the butterfly themed palette. Here's what the colors on the inside look like. You can see that there's a ton of mauve colors, so this would be a great option to kind of mimic those other palettes that are coming out in Korea. I also was thinking of making mauves. This would be another great option, and as you can see, it has similar tones, so you can kind of see how similar they are on camera. This one just has a little more pink in it, and this is a little more purple. So I think these both would be great options, and I believe making mauves is still available. So I'm actually going to go ahead and use Flutterby just because the colors in that appeal to me more, but you could totally use making mauves to create something that looks really similar. So I'm first going to go in with a really light colored shade just to kind of set my eye primer. And like, you can't really see this shade at all, it's really just there so that I can set my eye primer. I feel like I kind of saw a similar color story to this in one of Sigma's newest releases as well. Sigma just revealed a bunch of 9-pins, and I remember seeing one of them looking a little bit more mauve-y. So I wonder if the trend is going to come to America soon. Okay, next I'm going to go into a slightly deeper shade. I'm using Wild Wing, but just step up the depth a little bit more. And we're just going to slowly build up this look. This isn't going to be a super like intense or dramatic look or anything. I'm just demonstrating cool toned purple mauve daily look. As you can see, this shade adds some depth, but it's not too intense. Flutterby does have a pressed glitter in it, and as you can see, I don't use pressed glitters, so I just ignore that shade, and if it ever becomes a problem, I'll just pull it out. I'm also going to deposit this on my lower lash line. So if you had a double eyelid, this would be one of those shades you use to really emphasize your double eyelid. I know I see Pony do this a lot where she'll run the eyeshadow across her double eyelid line. And you can totally do that as well, but if you're like me and you have monolids, you just run it across your entire eyelid, you'll be good. So that's what the eye look is looking like so far. You could leave it like this and keep it really simple, but I am going to add just a little bit more depth. I am now going to actually jump into the Making Mauves palette because it has the darker eyeshadow color that I really want. And I am going to go in with Marquee from the Making Mauves palette. And I am going to slowly run that through my outer corner. And I'm just going to very slowly build it up because I don't want this to get too smoky. I'm also switching to a very fluffy and wispy brush. So you can see I'm just very slowly building up that depth. And then I just use it on the outer third of my lower lash line only. So one thing I have noticed about ColourPop lately, and it does bother me a little bit, and it's why I haven't really bought anything from them recently, is that I've noticed that their eyeshadows are beginning to not be true to pan. So this shade looked a lot deeper in the pan, but it honestly comes out pretty soft on the eyes, which can be a good thing if that's what you want, but it can also be a bad thing if you were expecting it to look like what's in the pan and then you didn't get that. I'm going to finish off this look by using that same shadow and kind of stamping it on my upper lash line to act as eyeliner. And this isn't going to be super obvious or dramatic or anything, it's literally just to add a little bit of extra definition. I'm also going to put a little bit on my inner corner, just to kind of add that inner corner definition I want, but if I use an eyeliner this time, it'll be too harsh looking, so I'll just use eyeshadow. Finally, you can opt to leave this as is and make it matte, but I am going to add a little bit of some very like kind of sheer shimmer on top just to add a little bit of sparkle because it's me and you know how I am. I'm gonna take the shade Mauve on top, which is from the Making Mauves palette. It's kind of like a Super Shock consistency. And I'm going to lightly tap it open. And you can see when I tap it on lightly, very controlled in this way, I'm able to actually get a really sheared out topper-like application. So that way the pigment is not poking through and adding to the look more than I didn't want it to. Right now it looks like I put a bunch of glitter on my eyelid, but none of it is actually glitter. So that's just what I'm going to leave it at. It's very, very soft and subtle. And then I'm going to take a little bit and put it on my lower lash line in a similar fashion. So that's going to be it for the eyeshadow. As you can see, it's really, really super, super simple. Just a daily look. You could opt to add some eyeliner if you want to. I've seen a lot of videos where people have a little bit of eyeliner, but you know, when you have monolids, adding eyeliner can be a bit of a struggle and it can kind of ruin the look. So I'm gonna put on mascara, no false lashes today, and if I want eyeliner after I put my mascara on, I'll put some on. I think my eyelash curlers need new rubbers, just based on how long it's been since I last changed them. If you ever notice your eyelash curler isn't working for you as well, then you might want to consider changing the rubbers. If the rubber pads get super like worn out, then it won't curl as well. I'm not so sure why, but most places sell replacement pads for your curlers. Especially if you bought like a curler like SHISEIDO where the eyelash curler itself was pretty pricey. You can just replace the rubber. And then the curler itself is usually good to go until the springs wear out, which is a while. I've had mine for like 3 years now and they're still doing fine. I even bought a backup and the backup is about 1.5 years old, but the backup works just as well as the one I've had for a really long time. So obviously these things last a while. If you have monolids or if you have straight Asian lashes or whatever, you really can't rush curling your lashes. You just have to take the time to do it. It's a really big slog, but if you rush it, it just won't turn out good. So you just have to take your time and just let it be that it takes a while. Okay, I'm going to be using the ETUDE House / Perm Curl Fix Mascara. I really need to buy some new mascaras, so I'm just using these until I finally remember to get the ones that I actually want. This one is such a pain to remove, so I've heard that ETUDE has their own lash remover, which like works really well, so I would say if you're in the market for a mascara and you're considering this one because it really is super bulletproof, just get their remover and just don't fuss with having to like cry about removing it. I can't wait to get a lash lift again so I don't have to use these bulletproof mascaras until it's like humid. I'm kind of just combing through. I'm not zigzagging as much as I usually would. I don't want the lashes to look too out there and ridiculous today since the look is so soft. I'll just let my lashes look pretty normal, just with some length and a little bit more volume. And then for my bottom lashes, I'm going to be using a brownier mascara so that I can kind of be more soft and kind of go with the look. I'm going to be using this LILYBYRED mascara. I'm not sure what color it is because the color is not really on the packaging, but it's a brown color. This one doesn't, to me, it like does like no volume and no length. So as far as mascaras go, it's really disappointing, but I keep it around just because of the color aspect. So I don't really want my lower lashes to like be screaming at the world today. Which, I mean, you usually can't even see them regardless, like they're usually invisible, so I don't want them to become completely invisible because no bottom lash mascara would look really weird. The brown mascara lets them have a little extra something without standing out too much. And I'm not going to be drawing fake lashes on today, I'll just leave it as is. So for the eyes, I'm just going to call this done. My lashes are done now and my eyes are looking a little more open. So I am going to go ahead and add just like the tiniest bit of eyeliner on the ends of my eyes only. Taking a brown liner, this is from M Cosmetics. And I'm just going to add a little bit on the tail of my eye. Making an extremely short baby wing that points down. So it's not puppy liner because it's not long enough to drag my eye down. It is so short, so all it's really doing is just adding that outer corner depth and dimension. And that's it for the eyeliner. So moving on to the rest of the face. So the rest of the face is what's going to really pull this whole look together. So I'm going to go in with a cool tone blush, and I don't know if I have one, but I'm going to look. So as it were, I was hoping that I would have like a really nice baby pink blush, but that is actually one color that I never ended up buying, and it was because I was like, oh, I don't know if it would look good on me, I don't know when I'd ever use it. Well, now I need one, so I'm definitely going to make sure I go look into getting some of those real baby pink blushes, like the really light pink ones, like really sheer and light pink. I think you probably know what kinds of colors I'm talking about, but for the time being, I did find that I do have one of the Making Mauves blushes from ColourPop, and it's really pretty packaging, and the inside is a cooler pink color. So I'm going to go ahead and use this. It's going to kind of cool and deepen the look a little more than I anticipated. I was hoping to keep the cheeks really bright and matte and just like soft, like almost like watercolor, but that's fine, we can still work with this. I haven't bought a blush from ColourPop in a really long time, just because literally every single color they've been releasing recently has looked the exact same, so I just haven't been into it. But the year that they did the whole Making Mauves and Nude Mood and everything, that was a good year for them. But then like after that, they've just kind of not done as well since then. I feel like everything has been same old, really uncreative, really boring. Like even when they do something colorful, it just feels like there's no real heart in it, so it just doesn't feel as exciting. I remember when they first did those monochromatic palettes that everybody was really excited, and they seemed really excited too, so the products just felt a lot more interesting. This blush is actually pretty like buildable, like it doesn't start off at full pigment or anything, and since it's a blush, that's definitely super appreciated, but it does take a little while to build up, especially if you're careful like I am, so just be prepared to have some patience and take some time. I mentioned in my previous video how I was looking for a cooler tone bronzer contour kind of shade, but that had a little more pigmentation than the Peri Para one does, and I was like thinking to myself, for this video I kind of need that again, but I still haven't really found anything. I tend to like overextend my blush lower on my face, so to compensate I'm going to be placing my bronzer a little bit higher on my face. I don't know if this necessarily is getting me the results I want, but it's not like the worst thing ever, so it'll work. But I also have a new lighting setup, which makes it really, and I don't think the lighting is where I need it to be, so it's also really hard for me to see if I'm over applying or not. So I guess in the video you'll see if I suddenly turn bright orange, you'll know why. It's because I'm having trouble seeing what I'm doing. So I'm gonna have to go back and kind of finagle the setup a little bit. Alright, I'm gonna just kind of call that done before I take it too far. I'm almost worried by what I'm seeing on the camera monitor that I might have put too much on. So I'm gonna go back in with my finishing powder that I used earlier, and I'm gonna blend out my cheeks. I just want to ensure that I didn't make any mistakes and just kind of soften everything out a little bit. Okay, I think that helped a little bit, so we're gonna move on. You could definitely go with something more pearly and more icy, and that would be just fine. I'm going to be using the BECCA highlighter in Prismatic Amethyst. It's pretty icy, but it has a very slight purple shift, so I think this will work really well. And I'm just gonna dust this along my cheekbones. Now it should be noted that in Asia, highlighters are not usually overdone super much. Most Korean highlighters that are released on the market, I don't usually like at all, because you can hardly see it develop on the cheek. If I want a sheer highlight, I would much rather take a more intense highlight, and I'll just very carefully dab it on like you see me doing right here, where now it's a lot more subtle. I do have the Romand highlighters, and I do really like those, but generally speaking, I avoid most Korean highlighters. If I want a super subtle finish, then I'll just use a glowy finishing powder, since that's what those are kind of for. Like, I really want to try the Grow On Meteorites, but right now, if I want my whole face to just have that radiant candlelit glow, I just use the Jaclyn Hill Mood Light powders. And I believe those are out of stock right now, but they're really good, and now they're permanent, so you can get them. So you can see that it's a very faintly amethyst highlighter, and it just goes really well with this look. Okay, so the face is done, and you can see my whole look is pretty simple, so now I'm going to move on to the lips. And a lot of people have been using these really cool toned lighter colored lipsticks in these looks. I don't have any because I just don't really like lighter lip colors. Like the true nude lip look never got along with me, and the super light pinks and peaches I feel make me look super dead. So I never got into it, so all of my lip colors are either my lip color or darker, but I do have a few cooler tone lip colors that we can try. I think what we can try is this ColourPop Luxe Velvet lipstick, which I actually do really like these formulas. They're a little bit slippy slidey, but they're pretty nice. This is in the shade Buttercup, and it's more pinky, but it's not super warm, so it should work. I'm gonna line my lips as usual with my favorite lip liner. I generally don't try to make my lip liner look cool or warm toned or anything, since it's just to overline my lips. So I just need it to match the color of my lips. And now it's just time to see if this lip makes or breaks this look. Okay, so it's a little bit pink, but it does have the right undertone that I want, so I'm just gonna apply it and sheer it out. I'm not gonna make it super intense. So by doing that, I'm able to keep everything more toned down, and the pinkness of the lip is not overpowering. So this is the final look. I've kind of got my bangs brushed off to the side just because I do need to get them trimmed, so they're kind of getting a little long. But this is what the finished makeup look is looking like. As you can see, very, very subtle, very, very daily appropriate. The lip is not the best match ever, but as I've mentioned earlier, I don't really have too many lipsticks that I think would match. I definitely need to watch some videos and kind of get some inspiration of lip shades that would go with this and look for them and maybe buy them for myself. So, but this honestly is pretty good. It's just a cooler toned MLBB. Like I was able to just apply it very thinly so that it's pretty sheer. And yeah, that's this video. I just wanted to show you guys that you guys can do this look without needing to buy those products. You don't have to fuss with the shipping or wait, 10 years for it to arrive. I know I'm going to be waiting 10 years for my palettes, but once they do arrive, I do intend to do some comparison swatch videos for you guys. I think it would be a fun new kind of video to add to my channel so that my collection can kind of serve as a database so that you guys can use it as an opportunity to make wiser purchasing decisions and maybe also find substitutions in your own collection. So I'm definitely super excited for them to arrive, and in the meantime, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!